Hello and welcome to this week's Monday Market Overview. It's your boy Vijalarazzi here, and today I'm going to be going over 3 different coins that I think have some very strong upcoming potential: Dogecoin, D.I.Y, and Stellar Lumens. These are 3 coins that have held their Bitcoin value exceptionally well in this bear market, so I'm expecting once Bitcoin kind of turns around and some of that volume starts to go back into the altcoins, I'm expecting these 3 coins to perform exceptionally well in the upcoming months ahead. So let's dive right into this and look at some charts. Taking a look at Bitcoin, last week we left off and prices had just recently broken out of this downward pointing wedge, and we were waiting to see whether or not support was going to hold right here at about 75 to about 73. Right in there in that area, we're waiting to see whether or not prices were going to maintain support on top of this descending resistance. However, over the weekend, we actually got some strong sell volume, and it actually knocked the prices down a little bit lower. So we're actually back inside, trending within this downward pointing wedge. The outlook is still the same. We're still completing this 3rd wave. I'm actually going to take it to a shorter time frame and show you guys a little bit of a zoomed in, enhanced look on what I'm talking about and what I expect to come. Taking a look at the 4-hour chart, I'm going to draw some Elliott waves to kind of give you guys a better example and understanding of where we're headed in this 3-wave. So, and remember, from my last video, we're working on the retracement of this 3-wave down. How far that retracement was going to go is yet to be decided, but taking a look here at the Elliott waves, we can see that we're getting some nice impulsive moves on the downside. We finished the 1 wave with this first retracement, and then we have been working on the 3-wave. However, the 3-wave for my Elliott count is been completed, and we're now working on the very last 5-wave of this 3-wave correction. I think that this 5-wave could take us back down to about 68. That would be my first accumulation target. I think that that's going to be the likely scenario as we venture closer and lower in this correction. So I'm going to actually highlight an area of value that I see in this market. This is going to be my area of strong value and strong demand. I think that anywhere from about 68.50 to down here to about 66.50, I think that that's going to give you your strongest entry and target entry zones if you're looking to start entering back into this Bitcoin market in this correction. I'm thinking that in this inverse head and shoulder that we had, and I'll mark it here for you guys, this inverse head and shoulder, the shoulders of this inverse head and shoulder are going to be high demand, and prices are going to have to come back down and retest this since we have broken back inside this downward pointing wedge. It doesn't mean it's the end of the world by any means. It just means that we have to come down and retest before we can pop back up and try and reclaim that downward pointing wedge as support. So this is going to be what I'm watching out for with Bitcoin in the short term. Nothing out of the ordinary currently with this market. The Elliott waves are behaving very, very nicely, and I do expect prices to come back down and stab one last time, finishing this 5th wave down here anywhere from about 68.50 to about 66.50. Those are going to be my accumulation targets for the now. So now I'm actually going to transition to my screen and take a look at some altcoins and dive into what I think is going on with them. First on the list today is going to be D.I.Y. Now, D.I.Y, if you go and look at the Bitcoin chart, it's one that has exceptionally outperformed Bitcoin quite well in this bear market. And as far as outperforming the other altcoins and cryptos, it's done exceptionally well. In fact, it's one of the top 10 I can see that has really just been holding a solid uptrend in this bear market so far compared to the rest of the altcoins. It's performing exceptionally well. So we're going to take a look at this chart here and kind of give you guys my idea and my perspective on what is going on. Currently, we finished the first rally, and now prices are kind of consolidating sideways. Now, if we compare the previous fractal to what the price of D.I.Y is doing now, I'm just going to highlight a couple areas. So this is a pattern that I have been noticing inside of D.I.Y. If we analyze the previous fractal, we can see that once prices started consolidating sideways, we were getting very close to the terminal end of the correction. However, we still needed one more lower low to go and really set the stage for the whales and the big money to come in and start accumulating at some of those cheaper prices that are better risk to reward ratio for them to get better entries into the market. So by analyzing the previous fractal, we can see that we got this period of 2 different highs that came in. Now right here, you could consider this a high, but this is still on the downside. So this is still just performing the down move. we didn't really get any sideways consolidation until this move started to persist. And now if we come back here, we see that we got these two highs in the area of sideways consolidation. Currently, we're getting those same two highs in there. Now, I'm not saying that prices are going to follow this exactly as the previous fractal, but the patterns are similar. However, they're not always going to be exactly identical to the previous patterns. Keep in mind, sometimes they differ. So you can't always count on it being exactly how you thought it would in the last cycle. So by taking a look here, I think that we still have a little bit more of consolidation to go. It is possible that we break out of this sideways consolidation and go on to the upside. However, I think that it's less likely that this happens, and I think that we will see a little bit more of an accumulation cycle similar to the last market cycle. Prices are currently retracing after we've previously hit resistance on the last move. Now, I'm going to mark down here because this is a very strong area of demand. As you can see, prices are just consolidating in this sideways pattern. No real movement on the upside or the downside. We bounce off support and then we go and tag resistance, and then we just kind of cycle sideways in this movement. Now, if you're looking to trade this, always look to buy support down in here. That's going to give you the best risk to reward. Right now, prices are kind of undecided and they're in mid-ground. Currently, we fell through support and now we're getting rejected at resistance. So I do expect this to fall a little bit more. But really, overall, if you're looking to start accumulating in this market, I would look to aim and buy down in here. Or if you're really looking to get the best risk to reward ratio setup, or you're just looking for long-term big picture, where can I get the best entries? If you're going to follow off of this fractal, down in here, down in these lows, and I'll actually mark this with a line here. At the base of this first move, about right here, anywhere below support from about 16, 17 cents down to about 12, 13 cents, that's a really good area that I think that prices could manage to sell off through if we ended up getting one of these accumulation periods similar to the last fractal. I think that we could fall back into here. So this is just some things I'm watching out for. DigiByte's currently consolidating sideways, getting close to the bottom of this correction, wherever this correction might put us. However, I still think that we have a little bit more consolidation to go, so hold off on DigiByte for a minute. Next on our list, we're going to be taking a look at Dogecoin. So as you can see, we've been retracing for quite some time, since about the 1st of January to present time. In August, we've been retracing and just slowly getting squeezed tighter and tighter and tighter into the end of this downward pointing wedge. Now, what I'm expecting to see here, we did get some nice strong volume with this previous move down in here, which tells me that it is possible that prices could continue and actually break out of this pattern where we're currently sitting in prices. However, if we decide to go a little bit lower, I'm expecting a lower retrace of about 19 cents, somewhere around there. And I think that that should give us a nice little spring effect that we could in turn bounce and break out of this pattern. But for now, we're currently waiting to see whether or not support is going to hold. Now, I want to draw something for you guys. Based off of Elliott waves, this is a 1 wave, followed by our 2 wave here. And now, if prices can't hold support currently where they're sitting at right now, then this is going to invalidate this 3 wave, and then this is going to have to make me rethink my Elliott count. If prices can't hold support currently where we're sitting right now, and we don't go in for this 5th wave on the upside, then this is going to mean that prices are going to actually retrace and start falling. We could fall, the next support would be about right here, at about 0024. So, and that would still keep our Elliott wave theory intact. This would have to be a 1 wave of the 3 rather than this being the 3 wave. And this would just have to be the 1 wave in general. So this is what I'm going to be watching with Dogecoin. If prices can't hold support right here, then that's going to have to make me rethink this Elliott wave count. And I actually will update that on my trading view. But for now, this is kind of what I'm looking at. We did get this strong volume break. And so if prices can maintain support and go back on the upside, I think that this will give us a nice little bounce needed to break out of this down trending resistance and then put us at a more bullish standpoint. I think that prices are going to go a little bit lower. I don't know if prices are going to be able to break out right now where we're sitting. I think that the best risk to reward ratio would just be to wait for the breakout, or try and tag another low entry down in here if prices decide to go and retrace a little bit further. We are getting very close to the apex of this correction. Me personally, I would be looking to set some buy orders down in here, maybe tag one last retrace before we get some more upside to come. I personally won't be looking to buy right now, mainly because of the fact I think it's more important that I wait for a breakout of this descending resistance, because we did get a clean rejection from here. It is possible we continue on our Elliott wave and break out of here, but for the now, I'd rather wait for the breakout or just wait until prices retrace further before I look to be entering back into this market. Lastly, we're going to be taking a look at stellar lumens. So we finished our 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 Elliott wave on the upside, completing our market cycle, and then we got our ABC retrace back onto trending support. And now prices are kind of just doing the same little consolidate sideways. So if we come in here, we're going to be taking a look. Similar to Doge and Bitcoin, we're getting that same sort of downward wedge type pattern consolidation here. This one's less of a wedge. You could say that this is a descending triangle, which probably wouldn't be the most inaccurate thing to say, considering how prices are still currently really high up in this market cycle. This one kind of reminds me of what Ethereum did before it went up into its 5th wave, and that was when it was accumulating inside of that ascending triangle pattern. Now, I'm not saying that this is going to be an ascending triangle pattern, but similar to how high prices were in Ethereum, and then it continued to go back on the upside when everybody thought that it was bearish and way too overvalued, I think that we could be seeing something similar to Stellar. Now, the reason why I say this, I actually like to look at the Bitcoin chart a little bit better when it comes to analyzing stellar lumens, because it seems to be holding a more consistent pattern. Now, with this one, it looks really, really high and overvalued, like we could see more downside to follow, just because of the fact that we're kind of consolidating up here in no man's land. We have got some strong support bounces here, which is why I think that we will manage to hold. It is possible that we fall through, but for the now, it looks more likely that we're going to hold here. But here's what I'm looking at for the now. I've noticed the same thing with Dogecoin just recently. We have our 1 wave here, followed by a 2 wave on the upside, and now we're coming back in to test this 1 wave, in which if we hold support there, I think that we could see another 5 wave up, and then that'll give us our strong breakout of this downward pointing wedge pattern, or whatever you want to call it. It really doesn't matter. Either way, this is just consolidation on the downside. If we can break it and maintain support up here, then that's going to be very bullish overall. But it really just depends on what goes on with Bitcoin, because keep in mind, guys, these are only following what Bitcoin's doing. Bitcoin's doing the same exact pattern. We broke back inside this downward pointing wedge, and now we're going to come back down here and test. Bitcoin's testing the inverse head and shoulder, but for these altcoins, we're coming down in here to test this 1 wave. So we're getting close to that apex. It looks like we are getting some good bullish movement. Whether we're going to be able to pierce and break back up out of this descending resistance is yet to be decided. The fact that we did pierce this once is a good sign overall, because that shows that there is lots of buyers that are able to kind of knock the prices out. Because if you look up here, prices weren't ever able to really break up and out of this until recently. We got this nice little buy volume come in, and then we were able to pierce it. However, just because we pierced it doesn't mean a whole lot. We have to come back down here and test support, and then if we can maintain support, then I would look to possibly enter back into this market, maybe catch this 5 wave up and out of the breakout. I'll be waiting on the sidelines, letting this retrace a little bit more, and kind of just waiting to see what is going on with this coin as a whole. I'm actually going to transition to the Bitcoin chart and show you guys a little bit better of an example, because I think the Bitcoin chart's a little bit more accurate with Stellar. Okay, so here I am at the Bitcoin chart with Stellar. Now with Stellar, I'm going to draw the Elliott waves here. We're in the 3 wave consolidating before we get into the 5. And this 5 should take us a decent ways. I'm not going to get too critical with the Elliott waves right now, but you can see that we're currently retracing in this symmetrical triangle pattern. Based off of my videos, I've told you guys that a symmetrical triangle pattern is bilateral, so it means both ways. It's not really bullish or bearish, it's just kind of an indecisional pattern. Now, I still think that this is going to be a more bullish pattern. I think it's going to continue on the upside, but I just think that this Bitcoin chart's a little bit more accurate and a little bit easier to chart because of the fact that we found support on this previous all-time high, and then that's kind of where we're consolidating. The midpoint of this triangle is just on support of this previous market cycle, so it's a little bit easier to chart and read compared to on the dollar chart. It was so bullish and it just went so high that it can look really overvalued even though it might still continue to go on the upside. So that's the only downside that you have with some of those dollar pairings, is with the really bullish altcoins. A lot of the times they can look really overvalued to where you just assume that they're going to go lower. However, they just continue to go on the upside because that's just the way their market cycles work. They're very bullish and they just make these very expansive patterns. So taking a look at Stellar here, I am expecting some more upside to follow. We're just getting this very tight consolidation, getting squeezed tighter and tighter into the corner of this symmetrical triangle pattern. So we're just waiting, we're just consolidating. It's possible that prices break out of this symmetrical triangle pattern. Don't get faked out by some of these wicks, because every time prices have come down to retest trending support of the symmetrical triangle pattern, we get a strong wick all the way down, and then it kind of shakes all of the scared money and new money out of the market, and then we continue to trend inside of this symmetrical triangle pattern. So be watching. It is possible that we get a break out of this, and then we would come and retrace, and then we just do one of these market cycles where we'd fully retrace and kind of all the way down in here. But that's not what I'm thinking is likely. I think that we have a 5 wave to come in this market cycle, so that's what I'm going to be watching out for. Right now is not a good time to be accumulating, I don't think. I think the prices are going to have to go a little bit further. Based off of the dollar chart, it is possible that prices will stop down here at about 3,200 sats, and then it is possible that we get a break on the upside, but I think we're going to have a little bit more consolidation to go into this triangle pattern. Keep in mind, it all depends on what's Bitcoin going to do. Bitcoin is the driver of all forces, so we're really just going to be watching Bitcoin. That's going to be most important because that's going to decide and dictate where these coins go. But thank you guys so much for watching this video. These were my 3 picks for this Monday market overview. These are 3 coins that have held their Bitcoin value extremely well, which is why I expect them to kind of be leading the pack when Bitcoin decides to go back on the upside and some of that volume starts to flood back into the alts. Whenever alt season performs again, I think that these are 3 coins that'll be leading the market cap as a whole and should be gearing up for some very profitable setups overall. If you found this video helpful, always remember to leave a like, comment, and subscribe to my channel for more updates in the future. If you're wondering where all of these charts go after my YouTube videos, if you want to stay updated with my analysis, go follow me on TradingView. The link will be in the description for my username. I will post all of the updates for whatever coins list I have will go on there, so stay tuned for that. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching this video. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.